It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced, white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. It is tax refund season. What, you got about 3 more weeks till you got to get those taxes done? What is tax day, April 15th?
April 15th, which I do believe is a Saturday this year, so you'll get till the 17th on Monday. And I haven't done mine yet because I got to pay federal.
I've already got mine done. And mine are always done in February because I've got so many things with all the different businesses. I do all my tax deductions. I got my refund check, and then, funny thing, I went to Texas, and the check just disappeared. It didn't last long, but I've got a little bit left, so I'm going to do what you should do. I'm taking a little bit of my refund check that is left. I'm headed over to Joe's Karting. I'm going to buy myself some races for the year, put them on my account, and that way, when I've got a little bit of time, maybe on a Wednesday night, I'm over at Quaker Steak and Lube, I'll go do a little bit of racing over at Joe's Karting. So take your refund checks and get over to Joe's Karting today for fast-paced white-knuckle racing.
They won't try and sell you a cart with your refund check, will they?
You never know with Buddy. He just might. Dan, I got this cart for you.
Yeah. It'll be here every time you want to come race it, and it'll be all yours.
It'll be all
and then you
up.
Can rent it out back to us if you want to.
It'll be all painted up with Tony Stewart, and we'll have to put some extra foaming on some side impact foaming on that cart.
Did you see the picture that was posted from 1999 when Tony Stewart was hollering at Kenny Irwin?
I'm sure I've seen it. I haven't seen it going around Facebook this week.
I just saw it 2 days ago, and I made some comment on there because 99 was Tony Stewart's rookie year.
Yeah.
And I said, at this point, Tony's still a rookie, and he kind of looks like a little kid, even though he was like 25 or 26.
He does, compared to what he's looking like now, and a lot less of him back then.
There's a whole nother guy in his fire suit last year than there was back then.
Oh, what a race down in Las Vegas. We'll get to that. We'll talk about the actual racing action and then the post-race fight. We'll talk about some of that coming up in turn number 1. In turn number 2, we'll sit down with the driver of the number 98 Super Late Model out at I-80 Speedway and the 2016 NASCAR track champion. For I-80 Speedway, that'll be Ben Schaller. We're going to sit down and talk to him about his championship season last year and his plans for 2017. In turn number 3, Stan Cisar joins us to talk about the 2017 Eagle Raceway schedule. And then in turn number 4, we will preview Phoenix. The Camping World 500K kicks off today at Phoenix. Coverage on Fox and on MRN starting at 2 p.m. with the green flag schedule just after 2:30. And don't forget, all picks for the Pick'ems contest presented by Rick Havenridge at Wealth Partners are due by 2:30 p.m. Central Time today. Make sure you get your picks in on time. All right, let's get into recapping Las Vegas. Take out the last lap. We'll hold on to that till the end of the turn, and we'll talk about everything that happened there. Give me your thoughts, Dirk, on 266 other laps.
Well, you mentioned Kevin Harvick. He was coming through the field. He did not qualify very well. He was not really good in practice, but his race car, I'm not sure if they stepped on and really got aggressive with the front end setup or if he cut a tire down. They never did come back and say a tire definitely went down when he went into the wall.
Yeah, you could see it when he was kind of coming through that corner a little bit, how it exploded on the right side.
Oh, it tore half the fender off and everything else. So yeah, it's a definite. But what caused it to come apart? And he didn't even know when they interviewed him. After he got out of the care center, he didn't know if a bead got overheated, if they hit something. There's a couple things it could be.
And I thought Fox did a really good job after that of talking about the multi-zone tires and how Goodyear's doing a lot of these. And I'd never made the connection about multi-zone tires in camber. And Fox did a really good job of explaining why Goodyear has gone to these multi-zone tires and how they help when teams set up the camber and how they're on a very fine edge about getting that tire too hot because they're running it with too much camber. And by the way, for those of you who are at home, much like me, if you don't understand what camber is, that's where the tire is tilted so that when it's in the corner, the tire is contacting the racing surface as much as possible. If that tire was straight up and down, when they go into the corner, only about half of that tire would be touching, and then you wouldn't get as much grip. So they tilt these tires so that they've got more angle or more camber in them, And then when they hit the racing surface, when they're into the corners, it's pressed down fully into the corner. All the racing surface of that tire is on, all that tire surface is on the racing surface, and they get maximum grip.
You've got a bigger contact patch because the weight of the car is wanting to go to the wall, and the only thing that's keeping it from going straight are the tires. So you need as much rubber on the track as possible in the turns. But when you have that tire lean and it squares up and is running straight through the turns down the straightaway, it's running on the edge.
Right, and that's where the multi-zone comes into effect because the inside portion of that tire is harder than the outside portion. So the harder is able to hold up to the heat a lot better and take that extra force. And then when it gets to the corner, that softer edge comes into effect. So that's the multi-zone. And I thought Fox did a tremendous job of explaining that.
Well, and that's why these tires are also right side tires and left side tires, because on the left side, you lean the top of the tire out.
Right.
So when it squares up going in, so the outside edge is getting all the wear down the straightaway. You don't need a big contact surface to go straight. You know, but the cars, the way they are set up, if you let go of the steering wheel, the car turns left. So there is friction that's rubbing against those tires. So they go with a harder compound on that half of the tire. But like again, we don't know if it was a tire failure or if he hit something. But he was on the move.
He was definitely on the move. I thought he was going to be a good pick for Sunday. And our points leader, along with two other people, I believe it was my brother and Kevin Beadle, took Kevin Harvick. And not a good day.
Well, and
it reflects in the point standings because our leader went from obviously leading going into Las Vegas. I believe they're now 29th in the points.
Yeah, I mean, it did a little shake up because there were a few, things that, just the Brad Keselowski, I'm sure several people took Brad, but just dropping from the winning the race to fifth at the end, and he was great on the short runs all day. And once he get at the end, he gets a short run. He had the race won.
I thought it because I took him too. I thought today's Brad's going to redeem himself after Daytona for me.
But I still haven't found any articles stating what actually broke on his car.
Right. At first they thought it was a tire. Well, at first they thought the engine gave up because he said we've blown up, and then he said no, it's something mechanical. And then I heard some other race audio later in the week say we blew a tire and
tires were all up, so it wasn't a tire.
It definitely wasn't a tire. Definitely wasn't an engine because there was no smoke, and he was able to continue. He just said that he wasn't able to turn or brake. So that's going to definitely mess. And that's where he lost all of his ground was through the corners.
Well, and I think it was Michael Waltrip, one of the announcers after the race, and I think it was Michael, actually got something right for a change and said that very well could have been a hub issue. And because a hub's going to affect the braking and the handling.
How about speaking of a hub? Have you ever seen an axle come out of a car like it did with Ricky Stenhouse?
Yes.
Really? Yeah. That actually happens? Does it?
It's not every race deal. Obviously, you've been watching a lot of races in the last few years. But yes, it does happen. There's only a little cap, a little aluminum cover that sits on there that's got 3 very small bolts holding it on. And if those bolts vibrate loose, if somebody forgot to tighten them. Normally, at that level, they're wire tied, safety wired. So if somebody forgot to do that and they just vibrate it out, I mean, it's an odd deal. But, yeah, I've seen it before.
So Brad had the lead. I mean, you absolutely said it right. When it very much started off, let's get back to the beginning of the race. It very much started off as whoever took the lead out of turn 2, clean air was king again. We were seeing that right away as Brad took off right when the race got started. He was able to get past Truex out of turn number 2 and take the lead and lead the first portion of that race. But through the middle of the race, Truex would start to catch him. It seemed like Truex had a slower beginning run and end run car, and Keselowski had a very good middle run car and a very good short run car.
Very good short run car. I mean, he was dynamite. He had the race won. No ifs, ands, or buts. But Truex dominated. Truex won, ended up all 3 stages, so to speak, the 2 stages and the final.
The first one to do that this year. Are you surprised that 3 races in, we had the first person take all 3 flags, both stages and the checkered flag? Are you surprised it took 3 races for someone to do this, or is 3 races early in your opinion?
I don't necessarily think it's early, and it doesn't really surprise me that it took 3 races. Because the fields are so even, like right now at the beginning of the year, Keselowski's been fast, Harvick's been fast, has had no luck. Martin Truex has been fast, and believe it or not, a name that we keep bashing on because he hasn't won for a while, but Casey Kane has been in the mix early this year. Chase Elliott's been fast.
It's been kind of a topsy-turvy year where a lot of these guys that you were seeing struggling, Kyle Larson has been strong so far the first 3 races of the season. I'm pretty impressed with him.
7-time can't get out of his own way right now.
Right, absolutely. And speaking of Harvick, what has saved him at Daytona and at Atlanta for bad finishes was that he was up there in the stage finishes, and he was able to pick up 15, 16 extra points that he wouldn't have had last year. But this year, he wasn't able to do that. He walked away with 1 point after Sunday's race. But again, not a big deal because he has 2 stage wins, which is 2 bonus playoff points. And he's going to get a win. He'll probably get 2 or 3 wins this season. So I don't think he's at risk of not making the not making the playoffs. There's another $1 in the cuss jar. Excuse me. And not making not making the playoffs. And I think the playoff format that we've got, the new format that's been around for 10 years, it oftentimes helps these guys lay it out there and risk it a little bit more for a bad day because eventually it'll pay off and they'll get a race win and they'll be locked in.
Well, it's still you see guys that go and have a couple real good years where they haven't had a whole lot of failures, engine-wise or parts-wise or anything, and this might be the year a lot of that catches up for Kevin. Kevin might not get a win this year, but he is still a good enough driver. And he knows with this segment that he can grab these 10 points or 20 points every week. He didn't get it this week because he didn't qualify good enough. If he'd qualified a little better, he'd have got some segment points. But, that didn't happen.
Yeah, qualified 19th, by the way.
But was, running 6th, I think, when he blew his tire somewhere? He was right up in there.
Yeah, I thought it was top 5. I thought he was in the 4th or somewhere spot there, but you're probably right over me. Remember, the year that he won the championship, he should have won 5 or 6 more races. They just had so many fluke mechanical things and weird things that happened.
Well, they had lousy pit stops. It was another thing. They lost spots on pit road that cost them races that year, too.
So maybe this is queuing up to be another championship year for him. We just don't know. All right. Down to the last lap. This is such a complex thing that it's really fun to watch Facebook and to watch the reaction because you can almost instantly tell who's a Kyle Busch fan and who's a Joey Logano fan. And there's not a lot of people that don't mind Kyle. You either love him or you hate him, and you loved what you saw. But from my perspective, it looked like Joey was trying to use Brad Keselowski as a pick.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, but you did not see Brad participate in there. Brad was off the pace. He knew that. He knew they were going by him.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly because instead of going high or low, Brad went right down the middle.
He held his line. Not a problem with that.
True.
He didn't scoot over when he didn't try and block Kyle.
True.
Which he could have done. Mm-hmm. He just held his line. Mm-hmm. I got no problem with that.
So when Kyle dove to the inside to miss Brad Keselowski, he doored Joey Logano. Now, this is where Joey can easily use being doored as the excuse because his car is now upset. His car is now, you could see it kind of wobbling a little bit as he goes into the corner. He's attempting to make up for it, and he drives way into that corner, and he washes right up into Kyle. My opinion, I think Joey, I guess I don't know. I have absolutely no problem with it. I think this was racing. If this happened on any other lap than the last lap, I might have said, you don't need to be doing that. This was the last lap. This was the last set of corners. This was for points. This is what we want as drivers or as fans. We want our drivers to drive like this. Joey, Brad, Kyle, Kevin, Kyle Larson, these guys will drive way over their head in not a derogatory way on the last lap because they got to get as many spots as possible. And that's where you get the moniker, where did he come from, Harvick? And that's where Brad gets in trouble and Kyle and Joey and all these guys get in trouble.
They've all done it.
Absolutely. It's what you do. It's what we love you to do. What is your thoughts on that, Dirk?
It was a racing deal.
Okay.
You banged me. I don't think Joey went into the turn going, I'm going to bang you back, but he was going to try and pass him. I think he may have thought in his head, if I don't make it, 8 tires are better than 4. Yeah, see, Kyle was too far ahead of him to go to that thought. That's when you're side by side with somebody, and you can get him a full body slam, which is kind of more like what Kyle did to Joey.
And honestly, you can at those speeds, 8 tires are better than 4 is a very unpredictable ending. I mean, if you're talking about Martinsville and Bristol, okay, but at Las Vegas, the speeds they're going. Kyle's car could have easily taken out Joey, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, Joey was able to get through it and salvage. Chase Elliott almost got collected in it.
Right, so did Brad.
But they didn't. If that situation would have happened like at the front of a green-white checker, there'd have been a massive pileup.
Oh, yeah.
A massive pileup. The fact that the field was strung out for 10 laps, kept that from happening. But, yeah, I've got no problem with it. And I think the fact that Brian France stayed out of it and let the people that know something about racing handle it, which Steve O'Donnell. Steve was with the company when I worked for him and is a very knowledgeable guy.
I know you're not a France fan, but I don't think this is something that he just stayed out of. It's his sport. He's one of the major contributors to it. I think they have the boys have attitude in that what happened on the racing surface is what they're trying to get to have happen more often over the last 5 years.
And what happened on pit road, I do believe that Brad's tired of the M&M sponsorship and is trying to get the WWE. So
Brad or Kyle?
Kyle.
Kyle.
Yeah, not Brad. Kyle.
Well, it's
because Mars did issue a statement, and they were not happy with it. But they didn't do like they did 4 or 5 years ago when he wrecked Ron Hornaday in a truck race at Texas.
I didn't realize that, like you're kind of getting to, I didn't realize they had actually pulled their sponsorship of the 18 car for the final 2 races.
Yep. And Joe Gibbs even sat Kyle down for the Cup race on Sunday at Texas that year.
NASCAR did that. That was a NASCAR penalty.
I was thinking Joe Gibbs did.
Because there was a lot of hubbub that NASCAR overreached and shouldn't have penalized him for something that happened in a truck race for a Cup Series event. But when you want to punish your child, you take away the best carrot. You don't take away the lowest one.
Yeah, well, they took away the Xfinity race from him, too.
Right.
They set him down for the weekend.
Absolutely.
Set him down for 2 races, just like Mars suspended him for 2 races.
So the haymakers are flying. I thought for sure Kyle landed one of those punches, but
he landed the first one.
Well, all
the video shows it.
It looks like it, but Joey strictly said. And by the way, Sarah and I are sitting there watching this, and she goes when Joey said, "Not me," just the way he said it. She goes, "Oh, I like him now."
Yeah.
She's now a Joey Logano fan.
Maybe that's all that was behind the punch.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a mosquito slap or something.
Maybe. But Kyle definitely has had his image bruised a little bit this week, much like his forehead after that. I personally think that was more of Joey Logano's car that did that, because when they took him down, he went down pretty quickly because there was 4 or 5 22 team members there.
No, it wasn't a car, it was his crew.
Well, it could have very well been, but that looked, I don't know, that doesn't look like a punch to me. That looks like a splitter or a...
No, it looks more like a scratch is what it looks like. It doesn't, it welded up a little bit, but yeah.
He also had one right here on his chin.
I think that was just a drop from up above.
Okay.
I don't think that was a separate incident, but it might have been.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying like he had a knot on his chin just above his cheek, just above his jawline.
That was his chew.
Oh, you think so? No. Don't say that stuff, because I have a habit of believing you.
That was his pile of M&Ms.
There we go. That was his M&Ms. So no fines whatsoever comes out of this. NASCAR has sat them down together. Joey has said earlier this week that him and Kyle talked briefly about the situation. And I think most NASCAR fans understand there could be something today if there was the perfect situation, but I don't think it's going to happen today. The places you do payback, Bristol and Martinsville.
Yeah.
Except explain that to Matt Kenseth.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Matt Kemp has got his, was at Martinsville.
And he got a 2-race suspension also.
But you can get it, you can put a little payback in at Richmond. You can put payback in at New Hampshire. But, yeah, you're going to go down to a mile or smaller track. You're not going to do it at a speedway.
By the way, let's clarify. The Matt Kenseth suspension, according to NASCAR, was because Matt was out of the then chase, now playoffs. Joey was not. The retaliation then affected Joey's ability to participate in the playoffs. That's what NASCAR was upset about, and has consequently put in a line in the rule book that says non-contenders cannot affect purposely affect contenders' hopes and or something to that line where they don't want you affecting a playoff participating driver in any way. They want those drivers to set their own fate.
They want the playoffs to be as square as they can be,
right.
Up and up and everything else. And that rule probably should have been put in clear back when Clint Boyer spun and Martin Truex got in when they were both running for Michael Waltrip. But it took a while to get the rule in.
So Truex wins stage 1, wins stage 2, and takes the checkered flag. He is the lucky recipient of, yet we don't know what happened with Brad Keselowski. And Martin said, it's about time we got one given to us. And he's absolutely right, because he's had so many taken away.
Well, and he would have won if they hadn't had the late race caution. Mm-hmm. He was the fastest car on the track after 20 laps, but he wasn't going to have 20 laps on this one. And I'm sure they pumped up the tire pressures and do whatever they can do to try and get him a little more speed for that last 10 laps, but it wasn't working.
Kyle Larson finished second, Chase Elliott third, Joey Logano fourth, Brad Keselowski finishes with the top 5. Hamlin, Blaney, McMurray, Kenseth, and Boyer round out the top 10. Very good day for Kyle Larson. Finished second in stage 1, finished third in stage 2, and finished second on the day. Walks away with 52 points. So he's doing very well for himself this year, like I talked about. As far as the standings go, let me try to get down there and see where the championship standings lie. Brad Keselowski is your current points leader, followed by Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, top 5. Blaney, Busch, Harvick, Kane, and McMurray round out your top 10. So that's going to do it for Las Vegas. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in turn number 2. We're going to talk with Ben Schaller about his 2016 season and about his plans for 2017. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bay, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 2, and it's time to talk to a local dirt racer making his way through the ranks. Ben Schaller, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Good. Go ahead and grab that mic and get right up on it. It's shoddy equipment here.
Better?
That's much gooder.
All right.
Much more gooder.
Much more gooder.
How's that gooder race car coming?
Well, the race car from last year is pretty much ready to go again.
Yeah.
Still waiting on the new one, but I think it will be ready when the time comes. So.
Won the points championship for the NASCAR Weekly Racing Action at I-80 Speedway. A very close battle, and probably a little closer than you wanted it to be.
Way closer than I want it to be. Just kind of proved to myself once again that you have to drive these cars like you're supposed to drive them instead of trying to Nancy around there. And
it's what do they call it when you go to the prevent defense in the NFL? You end up preventing yourself from the win.
Yeah, I got within 2 points of doing that. So.
Yeah, he was racing not to. He was not racing to win. He was racing not to lose.
Right. And but just to give everybody a little bit, last points night, Andrew Kosiski, and who was the other one that was battling for that? It was Andrew and...
Andrew was the closest one that was actually probably within striking distance. I think Leighton was pretty close to Cisar. So we were all pretty... I think by the end, it was 8 points that separated first through fourth. So.
Yeah. And it was Andrew that was battling... Was he battling Cisar for the race win or for second place? And
he was in second. I can't remember... who was leading because it was kind of a fog after that.
But if Andrew Kosiski would have got that position, it'd have been the points he needed to overcome and win the championship, and it was coming down to it. And you, I remember you telling the story. You're back there every time you come off turn 4, you'd look at that scoreboard and go,
yep.
"Uh-oh."
Yeah, that's what I mean. Usually I don't pay attention to the scoreboard, and it became pretty important that night. So.
Yeah. Go back to the beginning for us. For those that only know you as the guy who drives the late model around the tracks at I-80 in the areas, what got you interested in dirt racing? How did this whole thing get started?
Well, my dad owned late models and Grand Nationals before I was even born in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. He had Kimling and Felter race his cars and Sam Jacobs and that sort of thing. So I kind of grew up at a dirt track. He's also a motor builder, so
that's good to have.
It doesn't hurt.
That's good to have.
It makes things a little bit more affordable. So he had quit racing and started his own business. And about a year and a half after starting his business, I had the great idea as like an 8-year-old and said, hey, I want to race big cars like Sam and Kim one day. So I don't know how many weeks later it was. Here he came home in his S10. There was a go-kart in the back, and kind of started racing at the Cartwheel Speedway when it was still in Norfolk. And Jerry Pospish owns that. And after that, just never really stopped.
What all did you race till you got up here?
I started in go-karts. I did IMCA street stocks for 2 years, and then we moved up to Grand Nationals in 2001. We raced at Butler County, got the Rookie of the Year, and my last points championship that year too. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So it'd been a long time between championships.
Yeah,
so.
15 years. Did you race consistently, or did you get to take a break and then realize you needed to come back?
Well, I did take a break. I got married and
I'm
started.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
started that thing. Had the kids and got that kind of set up and settled. And since I started racing so young, I kind of didn't know what to do with myself and with my free time. So I finally talked to my wife into let me go at it again. And
you got tired of having money. You didn't know what to do with your Friday, Saturday nights.
Exactly. Sitting around watching TV is not as much fun as people would think. I don't know.
So you talked about running up around Norfolk area and Butler County and stuff. Where exactly did you grow up, and are you still living there?
I was born in Columbus, and then when my dad opened his business, we moved to Norfolk because that's where his business was when I was 10. I live in Omaha now, just actually not too far away from the studios. So, yeah, we ran Butler County was our points track at that point in time, and then we started racing the CNCTA, which was an IMCA spec motor base class. We did that for a couple years, and then we raced with the NCRA for basically just a year. Had a few gremlins and a steep learning curve, as a lot of people find out when you go to race with the real open boys.
Well, yeah, when you step up to super late model type stuff, there's a big steep curve there.
Oh yeah, yep. So we had a little bit of a steep learning curve, and that was roughly around the time when I met my wife and was getting married. So everything kind of went towards the taking some time off and that sort of thing. At that time, I thought I was going to take some time off and come back, but I didn't really have a plan as to when, where, how, what that was going to look like and that sort of thing. So, when I did decide to come back, it took a lot of convincing for me to my wife on that part, because she was used to having me home all the time. And
that was going to be my next question: is how much talking did you have to do to get back in the car?
There was a decent amount of talking.
Yeah, that's
for sure. She grew up in San Antonio and had never been around racing and had no interest in racing, and so it was a lot of talking, and kind of her seeing my passion for it. Kind of, she came to the conclusion like, yeah, just go do it, and you can leave me alone. So
is she now getting involved in it now, or she's kind of, because some wives are the merchandise sellers, some wives are the tire cutters, some some wives just take all sorts of hats. Does she get involved in the race team?
She does. She's got a few sponsors here and there, just from places she works and that sort of thing. As far as the mechanical part, she's cut a couple of tires. Give her credit on that one. But she's not really as much of a hands-on sort
of person. She's not coming and asking you to do it. Hey, can I cut tires tonight, honey?
Exactly. Can I go
out?
You
do the dishes, and I'll go cut tires?
Can I go out in the garage and sweat really bad while I'm cutting these tires? Yeah, no, that's never going to happen.
They can't invent a machine to do that. I mean,
they
looks
have
like
one.
Okay.
You use a machine to do it.
Well, but I mean, like, it's set it on there and press a button and
they have a CNC machine to do it. I think it's only like $4,000 or $5,000.
Well,
so
why don't you have a couple of them?
I don't have that kind of money.
You mean to tell me there's a broke dirt racer out there?
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, just go around the pits and point your finger.
First night back after making your return, what was that like? Was it nervous? Was it... What was that like?
I was super nervous. When I did decide to come back, Dad had started racing himself up in the Norfolk area. I think he went to Wagner, South Dakota, and raced up there. So he gave me the car and the motor, but he said, the maintenance and everything, it's on you. Yeah. So it was me and a couple of my friends that went out to the track. So I was just nervous about, hey, did I lose everything that I thought I knew over those 4 years that I took the time off? And fortunately, I didn't forget everything. It did take a little while to get back up to speed and just set up stuff changes from year to year. So
so race to race,
race to race. Yeah. massively.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and my friends it was more of just going out for fun.
Yeah.
Just you wanted to do it, have fun with your friends, and go hang out and that sort of thing. And eventually, it became a little bit more competitive, as it's no fun to run around in the middle to the back all the time.
Right.
At least for me, I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Well,
so.
especially with the money you're spending.
Right.
You don't
Right.
want to,
Yeah.
a guy that does it for a hobby, you still got to catch a top 5 every now and then or something. You can't, like you say, you can't run 12th and 15th and have any fun at it.
Yeah, and I remember that year was I think the best finish we had was in Columbus during a SLMR race, and that was a third. And I was just happy to get a heat race win and a third place finish. The timing of it was really odd, but other than that, it was good to run in the top 5, and now top 3 is kind of where I want to be and that sort of thing. So
and then fast forward, you win the NASCAR championship at I-80 Speedway, and what I think was really cool is you all got to go down to, I believe, was that in North Carolina they had that award ceremony?
Charlotte, yeah.
Kind of a cool experience. I mean, you're just kind of thinking, I'm just some little dirt racer at I-80 Speedway, but I get to go and be at a big awards banquet. I get to receive this kind of stuff and go and tour some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it was really neat. I mean, never been to anything even close to that before. It was cool to be able to take my dad and his girlfriend down with us, and my wife went and that sort of thing. So it was just a really cool experience to be able to give him. And, like I said, I've never been to anything anywhere close like that. I skipped my college graduation to go racing. So
Did they give you a tour of the whole tech center?
No.
Just had you in that big conference hall?
Yeah, it was in the big conference hall, and then they didn't really have as much outside stuff. They had the state dinner and that sort of thing, just recognizing that sort of stuff, but there wasn't any excess tours or anything.
Well, I just wonder if they took you back into the R&D center where they have a bunch of stuff back there. I mean, that's a lot like an actual cup shop, with surface plates and everything. I mean, that building's pretty big. It doesn't look real big, but yeah, they got a workout room in there. They got all kinds of stuff going on in there. It's really neat.
If I would have known better, I guess I would have taken more time, because we flew out Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Thursday night was busy. Friday night was busy, and then we flew right out again on Saturday. It didn't really take much.
You didn't get any shop
time.
tours or anything.
No, I was there for the bare minimum time.
Did
you
even
walk
get
across the street and go to Roush?
Did you even get to go to the Richard Childress wine?
I didn't.
You didn't even get to go
I
there?
didn't.
Are you a
But
wine guy?
I'm not a wine guy,
Okay,
but
good.
the only
Neither am I.
reason I didn't go was because I finally decided to get my tickets booked, and literally 2 days later, Steve called me up. It's like, hey, we're going to go do this at the Childress deal and that sort of thing. And it's like, well, that would have been nice to know last week. But
Well, when you win the championship in 2017, then you can set that stuff aside
exactly.
and make
I'll
a
just
whole
take
weekend
I'll
out of
take
it.
a couple extra days.
Next trip won't be any rookie mistakes.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You get to take a whole couple of weeks down there, why don't you?
Yeah, that would be nice.
What's money for, anyways? You might as well enjoy it while you've got it.
Well, we spend it really, really quickly.
That's
so
good.
he's got
I was
a
going to say,
race
you're
car.
a
He
dirt
doesn't have
racer.
any
You don't.
Yeah, all the the riches I won from points all went to a new car. So
That's I always get a kick out of that when people talk about, wow, he won so much money for this, and I'm like, you have no idea. I mean, that's just like, I got my tax refund check back, and I'm thinking, awesome, I've got all this money, and then I'm like, wait, I have debt, I have to pay, and I can only imagine it's probably way worse for you drivers.
yeah, the in and out of money, is something that you get used to, and when you're younger, you think, I remember when I was younger writing $1,000 check, and I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, that's $1,000 isn't anything. That's a normal monthly bill or something. So
That's a cheap tire bill for the month.
for the week,
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's like valve springs for 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I just went to Precise, and I have 4 air fresheners in my car right now.
Yeah, you're saying that off the air.
I think those are around $600 just for the 4 tires. So
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
What about something you've wanted to race but haven't got the opportunity yet? If you got the chance, would you go and race a sprint car? Would you try a B mod or something like that?
I would probably race anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sprint cars would be fun, I think. I think there would be a huge learning curve on how to drive those things.
Yeah.
The midgets look like they'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I saw Jake Neal went and raced the Chili Bowl. I thought that looked like a pretty cool idea. I wouldn't mind doing that.
The problem is you got to have a pretty big helmet to race one of those sprint cars
Yeah,
because they tend to fill in the.
yeah.
If you're different culture in the sprint car world.
Yeah.
It's a lot more relaxed and a lot more approachable in the late model world. I'm not saying anything bad about my sprint car friends. But you got to have
I work for Factory Motor Parts, and we all know who the driver is for that. So
point proven.
I've met him in passing.
I have too, and I think he tried to punch me. I guess that's what I get for asking him a question. But back to talking to Ben Schaller, driving the number 98. So what are your plans for the future? Is this just kind of, you kind of talked about you're married, you have a kid, you have a couple kids, right?
A couple, yep.
Is there plans to expand the race operation and maybe go truck racing someday, cup racing, World of Outlaw Tour?
If anyone would like to give me, hundreds of thousands if we're talking about trucks, millions of dollars, go racing, I'm not going to say no.
Okay.
But right now,
how much talking would it take the wife for that one?
if the money was there, she'd be okay.
She'd be okay with
it. No, I think where we're at now, as far as me personally with job and kids and all that sort of thing, we're right where we need to be. The Malvern Bank series is close enough that everything's within 3 hours, and that's not that far away. And with the way the series pays and it's structured and all that stuff, it doesn't make any sense to travel all over the country for pretty much the same purse.
Right.
So I think we'll run try to stay the I-80 weekly stuff, and then run the local touring series and that sort of thing. As far as how long it's going to happen, who knows?
As long as you enjoy
it, I would say as long as I can enjoy it. I know my dad's getting towards the retirement side of life, so and with that comes not having a motor builder and that sort of thing.
He'd do special projects, I think.
I'm sure he would. But I also want to be able to let him go and retire and use all the stuff that he worked really, really hard for, and go enjoy himself. Not that he doesn't enjoy going to the track, but relax.
Retirement's got to be okay, you're disconnected.
Yeah.
Slow down, old man.
Yeah.
Slow her down.
I think he'll probably always tinker with engines, because I'm pretty sure he's been doing it since he was like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
So
I always joke with Joe Kaziski what his retirement will look like, because I'm pretty sure he's actually going to take on more responsibilities when he retires.
I was going to say, I thought he's retired now.
I'm sure.
I don't think he actually. No, he is retired, isn't he? Because he told me, he goes, I retired a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, where was the party? And he goes, I'm still working, so there's no point.
Yeah, I think I just saw him yesterday when I was picking up some stuff at the auto parts place. Didn't seem like he wasn't working. So
no plans to jump up maybe on the MLRA or any of those kind of larger touring series.
The only I would, like I said, if the money came and someone wanted me to do it, then yeah. The only thing that keeps me from doing that would be they'd have to come with money and some help.
Yeah.
I know my dad can't travel everywhere, and right now it's my dad and I and his girlfriend that generally goes to the track with us. So I mean, 3 people, 2 people, being able to work on the car all the time, you need a little bit more of a crew to be successful in the MLRA series. Yeah. It's not your weekend racers that are out there winning the championships and doing that sort of thing. I mean, they're not 100% professional yet, but they're as close as you're going to get to it.
They're a tick closer.
Yeah.
I know. I saw an ad recently. It was on Facebook. Who's the 00 out of Missouri?
Stovall
was looking for some crew people.
It's amazing how these you drivers have a tough time. Just, hey, can you please be a reliable crewman? And if you sign up for the year, most of you guys, you'll pay pit passes and you'll get them a little bit of food for going. There's not a lot of money involved in it, because you're just turning wrenches on a weekday night. But yeah, it's amazing how hard it is to find a reliable crew. I remember even a couple of times, like Jack Dover, he's like, hey, I have a race scheduled this weekend and my crew's bailed on me. Can you help me out?
Oh, we saw him in Kansas City there last year for that night they had the wingless.
Yeah, when Tony Stewart signed on as a partial sponsor for him.
The TSR, and it was just him and his girlfriend. That's all he had there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, as you get older and people start starting their families and get girlfriends and that sort of thing, it's really hard to get people to come around and stay around and that sort of thing. I do have some friends that will come on occasion when they're not doing their other stuff, but as far as having a reliable person, I mean, fortunately,
they're tough to find.
They're difficult. I mean, it's the same way even when you're trying to get employees too.
Yeah.
So
you pull in after 3 hours of hauling because you trashed the car, and there's a race starting in 12 hours somewhere. You know, been down that road many times, too many times, and
Plans to run the Malvern Bank Series this year again?
Yep.
Full time?
Full time.
What a great little series that's turning into be.
I mean, like I said, it doesn't make sense to do any more traveling than sticking with that and doing our weekly stuff. They've made it to where you can pretty much float the bills if you're running well. I mean, we're obviously not going to make millions of dollars doing this or anything like that, but I mean, a successful race race season is breaking even most of the time. So
not losing more than one race at a time.
So then let me ask you, when was the last time you had a successful race season?
Oh, last season wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Last season I can't
helped.
complain, but there was obviously a lot of stuff at the end that, came in.
Hey, Ben, if you had anything that you could change in racing, you're the god for racing. And it can be something as far as what promoters do. It could be something for fans, something for drivers, owners, whatever. What would be one thing you would change for racing?
Can you make people not complain about stuff?
That would be an amazing thing.
So you're kind of talking about racers and owners at that point.
Well, racers, owners. I mean, the promoters need us to go to the track.
Exactly.
I mean, as racers. But as racers, we can't expect them to hand everything to us on a silver platter.
Truth.
And there are going to be people that have more money than you. There are going to be people that have more resources than you. And they're going to, be the opposite side of that spectrum. You can make it only as even as people's willingness to work, because just because someone has more money or more resources than you do doesn't mean you can't outwork them.
Right.
And that's, that would be my thing. Just don't complain. And I know recently the tire cutting and stuff like that's been a big hot button issue.
It has been
in our
for
stuff.
20 years.
And the biggest complaint I ever heard about it was, well, it just takes so long to do. Well, you don't have to do it.
Exactly.
I mean,
is that kind of like me talking about how they need to invent a machine when they actually do have it?
Exactly. Like, you don't have to do it. I mean, I know I went through close to 40 tires this year. Wow. Probably a little bit more than that. And each one of those tires takes about an hour to cut. So, do the math. And that's 40 hours just cutting tires.
Wow.
Dan was going to come up with about 200 hours for that. He's got that Iowa math thing going on.
I like to carry too many ones.
Yeah. Ones and zeros.
Helps with my accounting a lot better.
Yeah.
I always have more money than I actually do.
Oh, I hear you on that one.
Ben Schaller, driving the number 98. Bud, appreciate you coming in. It was great talking to you. We'll talk more out at I-80, the Speedway. We'll talk more at I-80 this year, and we'll get you on the show again probably mid-season to get an update on how your season's going.
Sounds like a plan.
Hopefully it's going a championship way.
I'm hoping so.
Good luck in 17.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bud. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
There is no such thing as an off-season at Joe's Karting. No matter how cold it is outside or how much snow is on the ground, you'll always be warm and dry inside at Joe's Karting, the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Located in Council Bluffs on 23rd Avenue next to AMC Theater. Find Joe's Karting on Facebook or head to joeskarting.com for hours, pricing, and a schedule of booked parties. That's joeskarting.com. Karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's Karting today and find out what all your friends already know.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 3, brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube at Council Bluffs. Excuse me, they're turn 4. Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 3, and it's time to sit down with the voice of the Speedway, Mr. Stan Cisar. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Dan. How are you doing?
Oh, it's always great to talk to you. We don't get to talk near enough in the off season, or maybe too much as far as you're concerned.
We'll make up for it this summer. It looks like we're going to. We'll spend a lot of nights together up in the booth at I-80, and then I'll be seeing you probably down at Eagle quite a bit, and a lot of stuff going on during the summer months.
Absolutely. It is definitely the busy season. We are March 19th, just a couple of weeks away from Eagles Open House, and then the kickoff. I believe you guys have the Icebreaker Challenge coming up on April 14th and 15th.
Yeah, we'll kick things off Saturday night on the 8th, they're going to have an open practice. It starts at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's for all 5 classes of cars, and actually just about anybody can bring anything down and practice on the open practice. But then our season opener, of course, is the Icebreaker Challenge Modified Mania, down there. It's kind of a modified special, but everybody gets a chance to run. That'll be coming up on Friday and Saturday night, April 14th and 15th, sponsored by Auto Transmatic, of course, Roger Hayden's business out there, and it's going to culminate with 2,000 to win for the IMCA Modifieds and the first Sprint Series of Nebraska race for the Race Saver 305 IMCA Sprint Cars.
And then you guys have your Nebraska Lottery presents the All Fired Up season opener. All the classes you guys have available, what are those again?
Well, of course, the Sport Compact Division, the Hobby Stocks, the Sport Mods, the A Mods, and the Race Saver IMCA Sprint Cars. And everything's kind of the theme for 2017 is get fired up, and they're going to have a lot of fire attractions and stuff like that, and that's kind of the theme for 2017. So, like I say, we're going to get fired up for 2017. That'll be the regular season opener on Saturday night, April the 22nd.
Have you and Tom Grosso been practicing your fire spitting skills?
Not,
I think that's,
not, I hope not.
I think that's what we need. Is so you guys are up in that booth that you guys just need to spit fire every once in a while.
They got, there's been plenty of fire down there, with all the pyrotechnics before our Sprint Car A feature every Saturday night. But it ought to be a kind of a fun deal, and then one night, and especially later on, we'll be talking coming up in August about that, and that's kind of a car related thing, and they'll have some cars down there spewing some fire out the exhaust, and but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Season moves on. Kaplan University and Hoosier Racing Tire present the Sizzling Spring Fling. That'll be on Saturday night, April 29th. Colby Ridge presents the first Junior Fan Club night. They're also going to have Candy Dash that night, and on all nights, all the classes will be involved, all 5 classes of cars. We usually average probably in the neighborhood of 160 to 180 cars every Saturday night, and kind of pride ourselves in we start that program very punctually at 6:30 and try to have everybody the final checkered flag flown before 10:30, so inside of 4 hours to run probably close to 27 races per night. It's usually a pretty fast-paced night and then some great racing action.
Yeah, it is kind of a work of art to watch because that Eagle, just the setup alone, makes it so that it can be a very quick and efficient show, and you guys work very hard to make sure that when one series is done, you're rolling off the track in turn 1, the next race is coming on in turn 2, and down onto the backstretch, and you guys are getting lined up ready to go. So where some tracks just have a logistical nightmare, you guys have got it set up very easily to be a logistical dream.
And they've got to have it set up like that with that car count.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about the sprint cars. Oh yeah, you got to push them to start, but the kicker there is, the way we start those sprint cars. Even we push 20 cars off for our A feature, and we can start those 20 cars in probably less than a minute and a half. Having them all up and running, we do. They get the car started. Matter of fact, we can't even play all our music. We do a big music and a big build up for the beginning of the deal, and do the tunnel walk with the A feature lineups, and the Let's Get It Ready to Rumble, and playing all the traditional opening music, for the sprint car A main event. But anyhow.
Yeah,
the way things go, sometimes you can't even get everything in. Cars are up ready to go. They're taking that final pace lap, and we haven't played Saturday night yet.
And they're not going to give you another lap. Roger wants to get the show done.
Oh no, and the fans can't hardly wait to get the show done either.
Right.
So it's usually a pretty good deal.
May 20. Actually, let's go back up. I love this one. Saturday, May 13th. It's Pepsi Presents Hot Mama's Night.
Yep, and believe me, there are a lot of hot mamas down there in the stands down at Eagle Raceway. Though.
I've seen. I enjoy sitting up there in the booth with you guys. Sometimes I watch the races. Most of the time, I watch the crowd.
Well, I was going to say, keep your mind on the races, Dan.
That's what we got Anthony for. He's my official statistician.
Yeah, he's not looking yet. Coming up on Saturday night, May the 20th, the Lincoln Salt Dogs, Kaplan University, and the Eagle present the Armed Forces Night. That's a salute to all the military, and I think everybody with military ID is admitted free that night. We got our Memorial Day Explode Aganza once again, with the fire theme. There's going to be some, exploding that night. That's going to be our first driver appreciation show. That's on Memorial Day weekend. And I believe every driver is going to receive 100 complimentary tickets, and they will be able to get in, hand out to their fans, sponsors, friends, and we'll be able to get in, without having to pay that night. And that always packs the place out. We get, probably 6,000 plus on those nights, and it's a great event,
And that's something that if he was talking about fan or driver appreciation night, if you have a favorite driver at Eagle Raceway, go ahead and send them a message because I believe they get credit for every ticket that comes back through the gate, right?
Exactly. And then getting into June, Budweiser presents the Student Burnout. They're going to be school bus races again, the ever popular school bus races. But that'll be pretty cool. I think they'll be videotaping for the we normally sometimes simulcast the race, not simulcast, but they're taped and they're on cable,
delay broadcast. Is that on Warner Networks or
Time Warner, and
right.
I think they call it Spectrum Sports now. They might have changed that up just a little bit. That'll be coming up on occasion this year, and those guys do a great job of covering the races. Following week, Accelerated Graphics presents the Cracklin Classic. That's the kids' color run, and they set up a course through the infield, and it's kind of an obstacle course that's pretty fun for the fans to watch. The kids have a great time, and usually end up getting all wet and getting a lot of color on them, a lot of shock before the night's over with.
I'm sure the parents love that for the ride home, but the kids keep coming back.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, they clean them up. They clean them up pretty good, and they get them hosed down and everything like that, and get them in pretty good shape before the races get back underway. That comes up during intermission, and we always have some kind of an activity going on during the intermission down there. And two things: it kind of keeps the fans interested during the intermission. Plus, we always do some track prep to ensure that the surface is in good shape for our feature events down there. And they got it down to a science. Roger even has bought some new equipment over in the off season. And I'll tell you what, they did a great job last year during the Race Saver Nationals, and I think that's going to continue. I think 15, 20 minutes, and man, you got just about a brand new racing surface going on there, And like I said, it holds up then for the rest of the evening. Coming up after that, event that we've kind of been looking forward to. Last year Johnny Gibson, the announcer with the World of Outlaws, and I were talking. He's got Eagle Raceway listed as number 4. In his top 50 raciest tracks in the United States. We were talking, sure would be nice to have the World of Outlaws back down to Eagle Raceway. And I says, yeah, it sure would, John. I said, we need to get our heads together and see if we can make that happen. Well, by gosh, SLS Promotions contacted Roger, and pretty soon World of Outlaws is back at Eagle. And boy, the fans, the buzz is already starting about that because everybody loves to see the 410 World of Outlaws down on the high-banked bull ring. It's a very fast-paced show. The cars are in lap traffic early, and like as Johnny says, it's one of the raciest joints in the country, and they always put on a great show. And it's going to be an all-wings night because the support class that night is going to be the Sprint Series of Nebraska Race Saver Sprint cars. So we expect to see 65, winged sprint cars in the pits that night. The 410s and the 305s will both be in the house. That's a special Tuesday night races at Eagle Raceway. And
the big question is going to be, who's going to come to that race? I know as a Tony Stewart fan, I'm chomping at the bit to see Smoke out there again. The last time he was at a World of Outlaw race in Nebraska, I believe it was at Eagle Raceway, and he put down some good laps and won that race. Unless that was an ASCS show. Do you remember that?
Tony won the ASCS race. Okay. I believe he did compete in a World of Outlaw race there later that summer, and I think he ran 7th in that one. He was in the top 10, it's one of Tony's favorite tracks to run on too. He raced at Eagle years ago, back when he was running the USAC midget, and raced down there and did pretty well down there back then too. So it's one of his favorite tracks, and I know he likes the place, and I'm sure we might be on his schedule. So
that'd be nice because I know there's that talk about is he going to run his All-Star Series. He got into a little bit of a heated situation in the season opener, and I think he's decided since then he's just going to help run it. He's not going to actually participate in it.
Exactly. And I think that's a good call. I really think that's a good call for him. You bet.
June 17th, couple of nights after the World of Outlaws. By the way, slspromotions.com is where you get those tickets, and I'm sure that they're going to have special discounted information as the event gets closer for that World of Outlaws race. And then on Saturday, June 17th, we return back to weekly racing action.
Weekly racing action, Pepsi and the Blaze presents Blazing Dad's Night. That's the dad's tribute, getting close to Father's Day there. Colby Ridge presents the second Junior Fan Club night. They're going to have a $1,000 money dash down the front stretch during intermission. The Freedom Fest, of course, every 4th of July, one of the best fireworks displays in these parts, right at Eagle Raceway every year, and that's going to take place on Saturday night, July the 1st. Service appreciation complete with the fireworks extravaganza. Saturday night, July 8th, up next, the ticket presents the Combustion Chamber Night, and I have no idea what that is going to be as of yet. But
oftentimes you can read this stuff, and with most promoters and most people, you can say, oh, I know what that is. But with Roger Hayden and Racing Hayden, you have no clue what's going to go on.
Well, Orville the Daredevil Clown is no longer around, but that sounds like something he would have been involved with.
The Nebraska Lottery, Kaplan University, and the Eagle, once again, along with Miller Lite, presents a Fan Appreciation Night. That's coming up on Saturday the 15th. That's a special $5 front gate admission for all the fans. And that's going to be also that night we're going to be seeing the Fire Hose Rodeo. And if nobody's seen that, you can look it up on YouTube. They stretch the fire hose up from a high boom crane and actually have people on there, and they kick the water pressure onto that fire hose, and guys get on there and try to ride that fire hose like a wild bucking bronco, and it's been very entertaining in past. Like I said, if you look it up on YouTube, you can look up Eagle Raceway, I think, and Fire Hose Rodeo, and you'll see some video of that taking place in recent years, and that's something you're not going to want to miss out on.
Who was that a couple of years ago that did it? Was that Schaller that went out there and took a pretty hard?
It was Elle that face planted right in the mud after.
That's right.
She actually made the ride, and it was like the very last burst of water. The thing did like a figure eight, and off she came and face planted right down in the mud. They do the water, of course, down on the dirt underneath where the fire hose is coming straight down at. It does soften things up a little bit because with all that water pressure, it turns into a mud pit. So it isn't like you're hitting the hard ground, but it's still plenty hard.
She's a tough girl, and if anybody to take that hit, it'd be her.
She is. She does some roller derby in the off season. So, but she's a former Miss Eagle Raceway, in Nebraska Cup, So, but she's very interested in racing. Great personality. She helps us out once in a while. Does some of the intermission gags and stuff like that with us. But she was the first one to volunteer. She wanted to try to do that fire hose rodeo,
Fearless.
And she got a little more than she would bargain for, I think.
She is fearless. Saturday, July 20th. Go ahead.
22nd, Casey's General Store in Colby Ridge presenting the Kids Night Ignited. That's our annual huge bike giveaway. Usually somewhere around 300 bikes are given away to lucky junior fans that make it out to Eagle Raceway that night. It's something that a lot of great sponsors, a lot of great drivers, fans, friends donate a lot of those bicycles, and I believe then Roger and them, for every bike that's donated, they buy two. And like I said, it's almost unprecedented as far as a bicycle giveaway event at any racetrack, and glad to be a part of that. Everybody comes down, helps pitch in, volunteers to assemble bikes the Wednesday night before, and you got bikes the entire length of the front straightaway usually. But that's a great night. That's one that everybody doesn't want to miss. Saturday the 29th, Hormel presents the Summer Sizzle, and on that one, we're going to have the Hillbilly Slip and Slide. We have that every summer. What they do is they basically set up a slip and slide down on the high banks of turns 1 and 2, and they run the water down there, and there's a big slip and slide course, and guys will bring their saucers, and some people just go straight down the deal, but slip and slide after the races, and a lot of fun, a lot of people. Now that one Schaller Bay does usually participate in.
And that's one that I got to get to this year because I've heard a lot of things. Along with the fire hose wrangling or wrestling, I've got to get to that one.
Junior Fan Club and Scout Night on Saturday night, August the 5th. They're going to have kids' car rides along with that. We let everybody take a trip around the high banks of Eagle Raceway with their favorite drivers, and that's usually a pretty good intermission project for that night. On Saturday, August 12th, the Blaze 104 presents the Night of Fire, and that's what I was talking about earlier. We're going to have some 50s customs out there, and I don't know if you ever see the 50s customs where they ignite the fuel down into the exhaust pipe and shoot flame out the exhaust pipes of those street rods and those street machines from out of the 1950s. That's going to be taking place down there on Saturday night, August the 12th.
And that'll be really cool to see. I love seeing those old classics.
Yeah. On Saturday night, August 19th, Rotella's presents August Heat. That's the school bus races, getting everybody geared up to head back to school after the original school bus races got everybody out of school in the spring. Then they're going to have some more coming up in August. That'll be on the 19th. Nebraska Lottery and Great Clips presents the Eagle Shootout. That's the season finale for the regular weekly points at Eagle Raceway, Saturday night, August 26th, and that's the last regular season show down there, last Saturday night show. Of course, coming up the following week is our one of our biggest events of the year, and one that we'll talk about, I'm sure, more as it gets closer. Fourth annual. Actually, this is the fifth annual RaceSaver IMCA Sprint Car Nationals. Last year we had 117 cars compete from like 18 states and Canada, and expect even more cars this year. More people from Pennsylvania say they're going to come. More people from California are planning on coming in, from Texas to Minnesota to South Dakota to Nebraska, Iowa. Like I said, it's the RaceSaver division catching on all across the United States, and this is the Knoxville Nationals of the RaceSaver division, and actually we kind of pride ourselves in having actually the largest car count at a national event during the season in 2016, and hopefully we're going to continue that tradition next year.
And that's something we love. If you're ever out at Eagle Raceway or at I-80 or listen to this show and you hear us talk about the largest sprint car show in the Midwest, we do that just to get under Chris Krug's skin.
Well, they're going to have a practice night on Thursday, August 31st, and every car will go through a pre-race tech before it even turns a wheel on the racetrack. So usually Wednesday night and all day Thursday, you got 2 rows of cars heading down through the tech shed there. Every car undergoes a pre-race inspection. They have a practice on Thursday night, and then the first night of qualifying is Friday night, September 1st. Last year, I believe we had 15 heat races. We had all the way down to like a J feature or an L feature, and the top 9 cars will have qualifying events for the Jake Ida Memorial Race Champions. To qualify for that race, you have to be in the top 5, have been a track champion in either national, regional, or your track points, or have finished in the top 5 or 10 in a series like the Sprint Series of Nebraska, Sprint Series of Texas, Oklahoma, some of the different sprint car series that are around the country. And basically it's the best of the best, kind of a race within a race, and that'll be taking place at qualifying on Friday night. On Saturday night, another complete night of qualifying, plus the Jake Ida Race Champions feature. And then it culminates on Sunday, September 3rd. There'll be the championship night. We crown Miss Eagle Raceway. We crown the junior Miss Eagle Raceways from the Mini E Speedway, where they race the go-karts every Friday night. And I think last year we were up to an L feature that night, and we raced our way through the alphabet soup of features, get all the way down to the A feature, and we start the fastest 27 cars, 3 wide for 35 laps last season. Jack Dover picking up his second win in that event. John Carney II out of Lubbock, Texas, won in 2015, and Kyle McCutcheon out of Alamogordo, New Mexico, picked up the inaugural win back in 2013. But it's a race that everybody around the country is talking about, and it's on a lot of people's bucket list to make it down that weekend. And we want to invite everybody, if you've never experienced it, you got to come down and make at least one of those nights. That's the RaceSaver IMCA Sprint Car Nationals coming up Labor Day weekend. That's presented by Precise Racing Products and the Cat Rental Store, Nebraska Machinery.
It's definitely worth your buck because there is just an absolute plethora of racing.
And the ticket pricing is pretty incredible for that event. Also, they've got a special 3-night ticket as well as even the single night tickets. Very reasonable for the caliber of competition you're going to see in caliber of drivers. It's like I said, it's one of those events that you're not going to want to miss.
Then the next weekend, you guys are in the home stretch. One last weekend of racing. You have the Hoosier Tire Presents the Nebraska Cup.
And we took the white flag, and that is one of our bigger events. Of course, Sprint Series of Nebraska will culminate their season there next year. That'll be, an 11-race series throughout. We'll talk about that, I believe, on either later in the show or on a future show, the whole schedule for that deal. But the kind of nice thing, the only time the fans are going to get to see the late models at Eagle Raceway in 2017, and of course it's going to be the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series will be in the house that night, along with the wingless auto racing, wingless sprint cars out of the Kansas City area. They're at their Lucas Oil sponsorship in 2017. Casey Schumann's done a great job with that group, and they're going to put on a great show. They're chomping at the bit to get to Eagle Raceway, and MAV TV, I believe, is going to be in the house. They're going to film that event for the wingless auto racing series, and I believe also they're going to be filming the Sprint Series of Nebraska, and that'll be shown later on MAV TV later this fall.
EagleRaceway.com for all of your tickets and information. Get them now. Get them fast. Heck, even buy your season passes if you're able to. You're not going to want to miss America's home track. It's the Fire It Up 2017. Sam, we did go a little bit long talking about Eagles' schedule, so let's...
if you haven't already done so, if you haven't made down the auto show yet this weekend, still one more big day down at the convention center downtown. Eagle does have a booth set up down there. You can stop by and see there's going to be a few sprint cars, I know, in the house and on display. And stop down this afternoon, check them out down at the auto show.
Yeah, tell them to go down there, and you're going to be down there, right?
I'll be down there off and on, yeah.
Go down and say hi to Stan, and make sure to say how much you enjoyed hearing him today on the front stretch. Let's take a break. Stan, we're going to talk to you about the Sprint Series in Nebraska, and we'll play that interview next weekend. But we'll be back at turn number 4 to wrap this show up here on the front stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 4, brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs, the official watering hole of the front stretch. All the green flag action for today's race, the Camping World 500K at Phoenix International Raceway. Coverage is on Fox and MRN at 2 p.m. with green flag just after 2:30. All picks for the Pick'ems contest presented by Rick Havenridge are due by 2:30. Don't be late. We had a little bit of confusion last week. I think there was some issues with the daylight savings time.
That could be.
I don't know if Canada observes daylight savings time.
I don't live in Canada, so I don't know.
I wouldn't either. And that's where it's ran out of, so I think there was a little bit of a glitch there between the two things. Even though it's the internet and it's World Wide Web, there were still some issues with the daylight savings time. So don't delay. Don't hold off. And if you have any issues putting your picks in, send me an email immediately with who you want and what your issue is. I can manually put the picks in for you. Thanks to Rick over at NASCAR Pools Online. He helped me get through that stuff. So we did go a little bit long today talking about in turn 1, talking about Ben Schaller and Stan Cisar. And so next week we're going to get back with Stan and we're going to talk about the Sprint Series in Nebraska. And we don't have much time in turn number 4 to wrap the show up, but we are going to talk about Phoenix today. Harvick's been the guy for the last 2-3 years, but you kind of wonder if his bad luck and if the rest of the field has caught him and Rodney Childers at Phoenix.
Well, there was a dent in the armor in the spring race when he beat Carl by a tenth, or it wasn't even a tenth, a thousandth of a second, a hundredth of a second, whatever it was, 6 inches. And then he ran like 4th or 5th, I think, in the fall race.
4th.
He did not win, so he's definitely beatable there, which he wasn't for several races in a row. But they've still got it figured out, but again, the package has changed a little bit again on the chassis and everything, and who's going to chase it down the quickest.
And the variable, inevitably, I love picking Jimmy Johnson when him and Chad can now struggle for 3 or 4 races, and I love picking Kevin Harvick when he struggles for 3 or 4 races, because I always talked about how Kyle Busch has that. Whenever he gets sent to the back, his helmet points down just a little bit more, you know? And I think that's going to be Kevin today. His helmet's going to be pointed down just a little bit more, a little more aerodynamic in that car, and he's going to be hard charging.
Hey, Dan, they do have windshields. These aren't dirt cars, so the helmet's not that narrow.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good point. This time last year, like you talked about, Harvick, Edwards, neck and neck. They're bumping coming off of turn 4. Great finish. Hamlin finished 3rd. Kyle Busch 4th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rounds out your top 5.
I wish you guys could see this. Dan's on here when he said they're bumping. He's slapping his hands together.
It's the you know, I always love it when they show the clips of like the drivers talking to the crew chief, and they're the most animated, hands flailing kind of a thing. That's how you get. It's radio. I still haven't figured that out yet. There's no visual aspect to this. Phoenix in November of last year, it was Joey Logano getting the win, Kyle Busch 2nd, Kyle Larson 3rd, Harvick 4th, and Kurt Busch rounds out your top 5. So again, coverage starts today at 2. Picks are due by 2:30. Your segments are at 75, 150, and then the checkered flag waves at a scheduled 312 laps.
Yep, that's it sounds like a long race because they say 500, but it's kilometers. So
Right.
at 312 laps on a mile track, that's a pretty short race actually. And but they do have their share of yellows because that dog leg in the back tends to get a little excitement leading into 3 and 4.
And here I go again. Some of those guys dive way down onto that apron, and when they repaved all that area through turns 1 and 2, people love to dive down and cut that track short. And the big question is, does that work?
Well,
you'll see that a lot on the restarts. You'll see guys dive down all the way off the racing surface.
Yeah, that's not in 1 and 2. That's between 2 and 3. That's that big dog leg down the back straightaway. But it's still, I mean, it makes for a lot of sparks and a lot of excitement and some 5 and 6 car wide racing that gets kind of crazy when they narrow it back down to turn 3.
Thanks for joining us today. We are trying to get Lindsay Thiessen on the show next week to talk about her contributions to a local charity. We'll get Stan on the show to talk about the Sprint Series in Nebraska. We'll recap Phoenix. We'll preview Auto Club, and we just may have a very big announcement that we need to make. Make sure you're following the Front Stretch Facebook page this week, and keep your ears to the radio next weekend's show because we may have a big announcement that you're going to want to be a part of.
Stay on top of your emails, too.
Right. We'll be back next weekend to do it all again. This has been the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
The official watering hole of the Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs is the high-octane excitement you've been looking for. It's the Metro's largest indoor track with eco-friendly, low-emission engines. You can enjoy fast-paced road course racing just across the river at Joe's Karting, located near Bass Pro in the Mid-America Center on 23rd Avenue and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. Open Monday to Thursday, 2 to 10, Fridays until 11, Saturdays 11 to 11, and Sundays noon to 8.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.